I was baptized Catholic due to my Spanish roots, but live in a country with a majority Orthodox population. For most of my life, I wasn't really aware of the fact that I was Catholic and basically a black sheep in a sea of Orthodox people. But as soon as I found out, I had a mini religious crisis. So I'm technically Catholic. My father is Catholic. His side of the family are all Catholic because they're Spanish. But I live and was born in a country with a majority Orthodox population. I was raised Orthodox, being exposed occasionally to Catholic traditions when I went to Spain. I would say I was Orthodox till the age of 11 and then Catholic up until 13. And then I divided my religious beliefs, creating a balance between Orthodoxy and Catholicism by using their respective cross signs interchangeably. But now I'm 14, and a couple of months back, I made a bit of a breakthrough. I have never in my life, up until this point, picked up the Bible and started reading. I don't even know the difference between believing in Christianity, Islam, or Hinduism. I've just been force-fed the idea that atheists are inherently bad and that God is good. I hadn't even developed a strong relationship to the idea, but if someone were to ask if I believed in God or not, I would say yes. Because if I were to say no, they would call me an ungrateful traitor to faith, I guess. And worst of all, in school, during religion class, because yes, we do have that in Romania, Orthodox religion and the study of Orthodox religion, whenever a kid would question the existence of God or would try to think for themselves, they would immediately be treated with such condescendence that I wouldn't even get the opportunity to think about whether or not their idea or their protests, really, because they were protests, resonated with me. Yes, we do have the choice whether or not to participate in religion class or not, but if we do participate, we're indoctrinated to the max. There are so many people that are raised Catholic, Orthodox, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, but how many people do you truly know who are raised atheist? 100% atheist. Once baptized, it's as if people just keep their religious beliefs for the rest of their lives and never question it again. But maybe, just maybe, that isn't how we should be viewing religion in our society, as something that we are obligated to stay loyal to and that we could never ever question. Anything that isn't religious extremism is pretty harmless. But saying that you believe in God without even thinking of the implications that has is pitiful. And worst case scenario, disrespectful to the people that actually live and embrace the beauty of their respective religion, or who devote the smallest iota of attention to it. Religion isn't something passive, or at least it shouldn't be. It's something that you need to make sacrifices for, and if you believe in it, it should be as important as water, food, and oxygen. To believe in Jehovah, the Christian God, there are so many things that you need to do. For starters, you can maybe pick up the Bible and see what it says. Read passages daily, really live by its word, with slight modifications so you don't become a fucking misogynist, that is. A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet. For Adam was formed first, then Eve. And Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. That just hits every sexist bone in the body, doesn't it? Yet again, to believe in Islam, to believe in their God, Allah, means praying 5 times a day and believing in his one and only plan. Also, reading the Quran might be a good idea, but this time with slightly more pronounced exceptions. When you encounter those who disbelieve, strike at their necks. I'm just kidding, there's more. Then, when you have routed them, bind them firmly. Then, either release them by grace or by ransom, until war lays down its burdens. Now, I'll be fair and say that the first half of that passage only hits one bone in the body, and the second half kind of purifies it. But we still need to keep in mind that a certain very popular Islamic terrorist organization used it as justification for beheadings. To believe in Yahoo, the Jewish god, there are a handful of principles and traditions that you need to respect. And it would also probably be a good idea to read their Bible, the Tanakh, which is basically just the Christian Bible without the New Testament. Because they don't believe in Jesus Christ. Okay, we are done, but those are just the three main monotheistic religions. There are so many more, it's almost uncountable. So, if there's demand, I will inform myself to the max, and we'll make a video discussing the most important ones, or the most interesting ones. Everything from Hinduism and Buddhism to traditional African religions. But for now, answer me this question. Would you be willing to devote the tiniest amount of time to your religion, to learning more about it, to learning how to love it more? Because if not, it would be extremely inappropriate to call yourself Christian or Muslim or Jewish, because all three of these beliefs, and any belief on earth, requires an immense amount of cherishment and love and devotion. Worst case scenario, you're spitting in the faces of those who do make great sacrifices for their beliefs. So if you're not fully willing to commit, you're left with two pretty good options. The first being agnosticism, which means that you do not know if God is real or not, and no one will ever know. Which is a belief you probably already have if you have been passively believing all of this time and haven't really thought about your motivation for believing in God in the first place. So voila, you can become an agnostic. Or you can go full crazy batshit atheist, which, to be frank, is an approach I gravitate towards. The problem is that even if you choose to convert to atheism, to become an atheist, very few people actually remain atheists or are consistent in that belief throughout their entire life. And this brings us to my problem with modern religion, that people only believe in it when it's useful. They only believe in it when they need it. I, a decently devout atheist, would probably go to church in a heartbeat if a family member were to get sick. Because God isn't something we turn to when we're grateful for something, when things are going well. It's not something we turn to when we want to say thank you for our lives. It's something we turn to when we're fucking desperate, completely alone, isolated, desperate. And being an atheist up until something bad happens is even worse than being religious and not confirming a single thing about that statement. Because instead of spitting directly in the face of God, you're spitting in the face of God and then running up to him when things get sour like a little bitch. You know what to do in case you want to commit to religion fully. Now it's the turn of atheism to give you its arguments in the form of really, really good philosophy for motivating agnostic or atheist views. Let's sink our teeth in. By far the saddest way of doing it, and unfortunately the state most atheists are in, is nihilism. It's basically thinking that life is meaningless and being very, very sad about it. No sane human being actively chooses it, and they either fall into it, into despair and nihilism, because they fail to understand Absurdism, which means embracing the fact that life is meaningless and rebelling against it. You practically look at the fact that there is no meaning of life, that there isn't any God, and being happy about it. I personally am an absurdist and would recommend the same belief set to you. But there is one more approach that I deem slightly more interesting from a religious perspective, and that is existentialism. The idea that life does have inherent meaning and that we need to go look for it. It is by far the most optimal philosophy for agnosticism, because whether or not there is a meaning of life, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't confirm the existence of God or the absence of God. So, if you want to be agnostic, existentialism works wonders. Choose wisely and commit. That is the whole point of this video. That is the entirety of what I want to tell you. Because if you don't commit, not only is it spitting in the face and immense disrespect towards the people who do, but it also kind of counts as very subtle blasphemy. Because you would be using the benefits of religion or non-religion, of atheism, and not giving an ounce of gratitude back, which is the least you could do to God. For God, isn't it? Or to the absence of God. First time talking about religion, fuck yeah! Comment down below your religious beliefs, but don't try to indoctrinate me. I know how the internet is, and I'm not a fucking retard, so keep it civil. I cannot wait to read and count the comments on this video if it blows up. I put a decent amount of effort into it, but it doesn't matter. Stay tuned for more content on religion. Comment down below what you want to see from a 14-year-old's perspective, although I'm going to be 15 in a couple of months. And I'll see you later, and choose wisely. Commit to your religion, because if you don't, it's disrespectful as shit. Okay? I'll see you later, and stronger than ever.